Mm. Y'all, you know it's gonna be a good day when that coffee hits your soul just right. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Life is How You See It. I am so sorry for the extended absence. It was not my intention to go this long without doing another video, but time's just gotten away from me. I've been really busy helping my husband, aka Dr. Z, get the new clinic, Mississippi Eye Care Taylor, up and going. We had the grand opening celebration this past Thursday, and we're just so appreciative of the turnout and how welcoming and supportive everyone has been for that. So that's where I've been. But I'm back now, ready to chat with you about driving, more specifically, how I made the decision to not drive anymore. So, this will be part one of a three-part video series on making the decision solely for time reasons. I don't want it to be just one long video. I know that can get tiring to sit there and watch a 30-minute long video. So I'm going to try to break it into three parts, each part kind of having their own theme or focus. So hopefully you will find something in this video that will be helpful to you or a friend or a family member that you know who may be going through a similar thing. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, so I'm really excited to share my story with others in hopes that it helps people not feel alone in the struggles they're going through, or maybe they find a little bit of hope or information, inspiration, all of that good stuff in this video. So here we go. Okay, so when did I stop driving? I stopped driving in August of 2021, so it's been a little over 2 years now since I've been behind the wheel. Um, so what changed? Why did I stop driving? Well, I actually made the decision to stop driving before my vision got to the point that it is now. So I would say I was kind of being proactive because I thought that it could get to the point that it is now. That's when I was starting to notice very subtle, slow changes to my vision. Um, but actually, one of the primary reasons I stopped driving was because of the fear and anxiety that started to take root in my mind after my second wreck, which was in July of 2020. So, for those who've watched my How I Became Visually Impaired video, you know, I've had two wrecks, one in 2017 and one in 2020. Both were my fault due to my vision. And I've always kind of carried that with me, of it being my fault, and how, I'm very blessed that God allowed me and the people involved to walk away from the wrecks with very little to no injury. And, I don't take that for granted. I don't want to take that for granted. And I guess you could say I didn't want to, from that point forward, I got really nervous about driving, um, thinking not if, but when am I going to have another accident? And when that time comes, am I going to be so fortunate to walk away uninjured? Or if there is another person involved, is that person going to be fortunate enough to walk away uninjured? And so carrying that weight became a lot. Also, you know, after you go through something like that, you there is, you know, PTSD involved. There's trauma, especially if you leave it unaddressed, which I did. I kept pushing it in the back of my mind because, you know, as an adult, I have responsibilities. I had a job in a neighboring school district that was 20 minutes away, so I had colleagues and students depending on me to be there. So I continued to drive. Um, the big thing that I've always heard is whenever you go through like a car accident like that, the best thing you can do is just kind of get behind the wheel immediately, you know, rip it off like a band-aid so you don't get so overwhelmed with the fear and the anxiety, which is what, you know, I tried to do. So even after the second wreck, I continued to drive, but I would limit my driving time um, to just during the day. I wouldn't drive during inclement weather or at night. I would just try to get myself to and from work and then the few errands I needed to run during the day. But as time went on, as the school year, the 2021 school year went on, is when I started to notice I was becoming more light sensitive, maneuvering in dark places or at night from a mobility standpoint was getting more difficult. Just like I said, slow changes, nothing drastic. It wasn't like I woke up one day and couldn't see like I did before. It was very gradual. So, if you're wondering, well, why didn't you address it immediately? If you notice these changes, well, because a lot of it, and my husband agreed because he, even when all this was going on, even before that, would keep a monitor on my eyes. We would do regular exams, scans of my eyes, all of that. So we were always up to date on is anything going on with the histo. And everything was fine. So I had chalked it up, and he agreed that, you know, it just had to do with going through that wreck and all the fear and anxiety that was starting to really fester inside me. And that was why I was having such a difficult time driving behind the wheel. It's because that was messing with me, and those who've been through that kind of thing or who deal with high levels of stress or anxiety, you know that it can manifest in physical ways. Um, so that's what I felt like was doing. What really set everything off was when the time changed in the spring of 2021. And at this point, I was making it to work fine, but then the time change, you know, that kind of messes everyone up for a little bit until you get used to it. And it just happened to coincide where when I was leaving for work, it was about the time that the sun was coming over the horizon, and I was driving like directly into it for part of my commute. Um, and the light sensitivity, come to find out, was due to post-concussion syndrome, which I didn't know I had at the time. Only found that out, you know, earlier this year. Um, so even with sunglasses on, all of that, I couldn't handle the light in the mornings. And there would be points in my commute where the sun would be so intense and be right in my line of sight that for like 4 or 5 seconds, I couldn't see anything but the light. It was like I was blinded by the light. And those seconds, even if they were seconds, felt like an eternity. And in those seconds is when I would get super panicky to the point of almost having like an anxiety attack because I was so scared I would crash again. I was just that fear of when's the next wreck gonna happen? And not necessarily was I scared for myself, I was scared for those around me and for like the vehicle and how, I've already totaled 2 vehicles. I didn't want, I was carrying around that weight of responsibility of is something gonna happen to it, and then having to pay for that and insurance and all of that, which all of my family and my husband would say, it's more important that you're alive. Don't worry about a vehicle that can be replaced. And yes, I know that, but just talking through the things that were going through my mind, all the weight of responsibility of other people on the road, and that really aided me and contributed to all of this fear and anxiety going on inside me. And in the spring of 2021, I was also getting ready for my wedding. So Justin and I got married in June of 2021. So gearing up for that, and all the planning, the running around and whatnot, on top of dealing with all this, it was really wearing me out. And one of the ways I was trying to still be able to make it to work without having to deal with this encounter with the sun, I would start to wake up earlier, trying to beat the sun coming over the horizon. And as you know, as each day passes after the time change, they get longer and longer, and it just changes. So eventually, um, when it came May, a month left of school, and I was getting to work an hour to an hour and a half earlier than I had to be there because of me trying to avoid putting myself in that situation where I would be on the verge of a panic attack. So at this point, I told Justin, he could see it on my face that, and the way I carried myself, that I was just exhausted from all of this worrying I've been doing. And so we came up with a plan of the last month of school, that a family member would drive me to work and pick me up, so that I would just have that off of me and I could focus on the wedding. And also at that point, we knew that I wasn't going back to that school district for that reason, for the commute reason. And I was able to get a job in the school district where we lived, and the school is 3 minutes from the house. So we thought that that would be the best solution, that I wouldn't have to deal with the traffic or anything, and it would be right there at the house, easy for me to do. Um, so fast forward, the new school year starts. I'm super excited to start the new job in the school district. And as I guess luck would have it, I can't make this stuff up. On the way to work, I I got too close to the curb, and I popped a tire. So I'm trying to drive to work. I'm only like a minute from the school at this point, trying to drive to work with a flat tire, and that was what broke the dam, so to speak. At that point, I was like, this is it. I can't do it. Thankfully it was just a tire at this point, but what's it gonna be next? And bless it, Justin, being as amazing as he is, was trying to reassure me, comfort me that it could happen to anyone. It could happen to someone with 20/20 vision. It has nothing to do with your eyesight, and that's what we really thought at the time. Um, so yeah, um, that really shook me up. And then that first week on the job, I tried to drive to school, and I was still having those same feelings of anxiety. Am I going to pop another tire? Am I going to um, hit someone? Am I going to damage the vehicle? All these things. So after that first week, I told Justin, I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's just too much right now. And so we thought me deciding not to drive was just going to be a temporary thing. That at that point, I decided I was going to enter therapy and try to work through some of this, and that maybe I could come back after I've kind of processed and dealt with all of this to then come back to drive. Little did we know everything else that would uh, come to be with my vision. And I know you're probably wondering in all of this, if your vision is like you say it is and you're visually impaired, how did you manage to work? Well, that's a video in itself, and I will address that later of kind of my journey through working and taking a step back from that and what I'm doing now. But I just wanted to focus on this topic of driving right now. So yeah, I after that first week on the job is when I finally kind of figuratively handed over my keys and said that I don't want to drive anymore right now. So I'm gonna stop this video here because I feel like it's getting really long. Um, and then part two will be about like the aftermath, the when the decision I made really sunk in, really registered with me what that would mean for my life, and kind of the ups and downs I went through with that. So if you want to hear more about that, go watch part two. Um, and yeah, thank you for sitting here with me, listening to this. I appreciate this. I'm hoping that you find some comfort in what I've gone through, and that maybe you've got someone you want to share this with who has gone through or is currently going through a similar situation. If you have any questions so far, please leave them in the comments below. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't.